Hey guys, welcome back to the New Vision channel where we talk about all things real estate. Now, our goal with this channel is about learning and sharing sound principles of starting and growing a viable real estate business or any other business for that matter. So the other day, I drove to my accountant to pick up some paperwork. When I arrived, and figuring out that this was going to be a quick errand, I decided to just park on the street. When I got out of the car, I had with me 2 $quarter coins for the parking meter. Now, in that area, a quarter got you about 10 minutes of parking time. And since it was going to be a short errand, I quickly made a decision to put in just one of those coins into the parking meter, which will buy me 10 minutes of parking time. It turned out that things worked out a little differently than I had planned. When I got into the office, I ran into someone that I had not met for a long time, and we fell into a conversation. Before long, my 10 minutes was up, and I wound up coming back to the car a good half hour since I left. Now, if a parking attendant had been in that area, I would have gotten a massive $50 parking violation ticket. If we were to review the decision that I just made here carefully, we will come to the conclusion that this was entirely and completely irrational. Because I made a decision to save 25 cents if everything went the way I thought, but if things went the other way, as it clearly did, I stood to lose $50. That is a 200 to 1 lose-win proposition. This was a lottery where winning got me 25 cents and losing would cost me $50. When cast in this way, it becomes immediately clear that this was an entirely foolish decision. And it got me thinking. As entrepreneurs and investors, a good part of the success in what we do depends on decision making. And part of good decision making in business is managing risk. I am sure in your business, much as in life, you are faced with similar decisions like this every day, where you have to make a decision, mindful of the probability of the events, and with a goal of increasing your chances of success. The question is, when does what looks like a good decision actually be a bad decision? And unfortunately, we are not helped in this since the human condition seems to have us wired to be more afraid of failure than to desire success. As investors and entrepreneurs, we have to be aware of this mental condition and try to make sure that we can check our thinking to avoid the pitfalls of this weakness. When I look back on my own path, I see decisions like this all the time, where on careful examination, I see that I have sometimes made the wrong choices, even though at the time it seemed like the right thing to do. In real estate, one of the areas that we are commonly guilty of this false thinking is in the area of expense management. In other words, when does being cheap wind up costing you more? Some time ago, I was doing a rehab and my floor guy was not available. So I had to look for a new guy to refinish the floors. I was careless in this case and went with the guy simply because his price was the lowest. And long story short, I got what I paid for. The job was not up to standard and I simply had to redo the floor all over again. In the process, paying more as well as losing on time. So you would see that the correct frame of thinking in such situations is not what is the lowest price I can pay for something, but what is an acceptable price I should pay in light of what I'm getting. Fully aware that the acceptable price may not always be the lowest. There is a subtle difference between the two. Of course, you do not want to waste money unnecessarily, but when you consider both the upside as well as the downside in your decision making, you find that an acceptable price has the best outcomes, all things considered. The case of expense management, as above, is relatively obvious. But what about the situations where the penalty you pay for poor decision making is not so obvious? Usually in the form of an opportunity cost. In other words, by making the decision to do something one way, what are you giving up on the other side? For example, many of us started out in the real estate business as DIY landlords, where we did everything in the business by ourselves. But as you grow, you have to ask yourself a question. When does it make sense for me to get help? Because by doing everything yourself, you may actually be holding your business back. Sure, you might be saving a few pennies here and there, but you're likely also holding back the progress of your business because you simply can't do everything yourself at scale. I continue to believe that starting out in the DIY or do-it-yourself way is one of the best ways to learn the business. But there is a fine line, and often one that is not so easy to recognize when you need to seek help in order to keep the growth of your business. That line is different for everyone, but please be aware and know when decisions like this is holding you back rather than pushing you forward. As entrepreneurs, one of the joys of what we do is creating opportunities for others. Remember that your expense is someone's income. And many times, making that expense is actually a good thing, especially when what seems like an expense is actually a disguised investment that helps you push your business forward. So, if you're one of those who is in the stage of your business where you are doing everything yourself, it would serve you well to remember to know when to transition into getting help with things like repairs, bookkeeping, and the like. Because many times that expense is actually what helps you grow. As the saying goes, don't be penny wise and pound foolish. Please let us know in the comments below if you find this type of content helpful. You would be encouraging us to create more by clicking the like button and subscribing to our channel. While you're at it, please click that notification button so that you will immediately know when we put out new content. Many thanks, and see you in the next video.